Welcome back, everybody, to a new episode review for Westworld Season 4, Episode 3. We finally got to see what was going on with Bernard. Some pretty interesting stuff there, and I am very excited to talk about this episode with all of you guys. So if you are also big fans of Westworld, and you're one of the few people like me who still watches this damn show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking it every single week, as well as leave your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. I want to see your guys' thoughts on this week's episode. So with every review of Westworld, I love just going character by character because pretty much everything is very standalone-ish. And for this week in particular, we have 3 stories to follow. No Dolores this week, no Teddy anymore. We got our first glimpse of what's been going on with Bernard and Stubbs, specifically because of the cliffhanger at the end of last season. Then we also get a little bit of view of what's going on with Aaron Paul's character, who is Caleb, and also what's going on with Maeve in this new Westworld area. And then we also have Caleb's wife, who has been going a lot with his daughter. And there's this episode overall just built to be a very tense and thrilling episode where I was actually pretty locked into each and every thing going on. Like, this is the first episode where I feel like the editing was very precise this season and giving us development into each thing, but also continuing and forwarding the story in a very unique way. And I'm very excited to see what next week's episodes bring, because I've actually been hearing from some people who got to see it early that it's pretty damn wild. So I'm excited to see that. So let's start with Caleb's wife and his kid and everything kind of going on from there. So this whole storyline very much leads into, Caleb sent some people, get them out of there, get them safe, but it turns out they are replaced. And I kind of saw this coming, but I also didn't. Once we started focusing on them a little bit more in this episode, I was like, there's something going on here that is not everyone's cup of tea. And as we see in this episode, the daughter finds the remains of the person who is actually supposed to be there, warns the mother, all these things go into, and it becomes a very thrilling, tense take throughout the entire household. And there's a lot of horror elements in this episode, not just within this entire moment in leading in, of course, when the little girl shoots him with the toy gun, but also just all that lead up to that. It reminded me of something from Michael Myers or even the original Terminator, which was very intense. And I like that Westworld was diving in a little bit more to the horror of this world, because in a sense it is a reflection of our own, and there is horror in our world. So love that stuff. Happy they both survived, but it did lead up into a very specific thing that we will talk about a little bit with Caleb and Maeve. Next, I want to talk about Bernard and Stubbs. Bernard, we get a great throwback to one of the best characters from season 2, has this great discussion with Bernard. Bernard went to robot heaven, and he wakes up and Stubbs is like, you've been gone for a couple years. And pretty much Bernard is now a changed man. He is nearly as powerful as Maeve was, but now he can see all the possible outcomes, which is very fascinating. And I'm very excited to see where they decide to take this storyline, and actually makes Bernard a more interesting character than he ever was last season. That was one of the biggest disappointments last season, was Bernard's storyline, because I've always found that Jeffrey Wright deserves better. This guy's a phenomenal actor, and I thought in season 1 and season 2 he was phenomenal, and I found in season 3 he didn't get the best storyline, but season 4 it seems like they're giving him some more stuff to do in. Really like the banter and relationship that he has with Stubbs. I love how Stubbs is eating the sandwich. He goes out there and just takes out the dudes because he can see all these different possibilities. We get introduced to some new characters who are kind of these rebellions and these revolutionaries, and all the elements that go in there were fascinating. Them going out into the desert, awesome. And I loved all these moments, specifically like seeing just how Stubbs is kind of trying to see how this is all working, but particularly when they meet up with the rest of their group. And in all those moments, the way it was captivating, how he's giving them these details. And it's going to be very interesting to see next week where this storyline continues to go, because I've been waiting to see what they were going to do with Bernard for the last 2 episodes when we finally see it. And I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. Now sell me on the rest of this, because in a way it seems like everything is starting to mesh and connect in one way, shape, or another. Now let's get to the big stuff in this episode. Last week's episode ended on Maeve and Caleb going into the new Westworld area. It's a different time period. You got the Al Capone people kind of running around in the 20s. And, you know, I like this time period. So it was going to be cool to see how they're going to be able to play in there. Sorry for my cough. I'm still getting over that. But one of the things that I love in this is how it is very much deja vu in so many different ways. And I personally loved this entire sequence and scenario in the way that Maeve just knows how this works. She knows what's going on, everything of that nature, even seeing how certain lines are being reused, certain dialogue moments. It's very much reminiscence to something in our world and something to be said about how many things, reboots, remakes, and elements like that copy from things from before, and the audience just takes it in. And this is something that, again, we see here. Deja vu all over again. Maeve ends up kicking ass with Caleb. They end up faking their deaths being sent through. And then, of course, what do people like to do? Well, there's secret levels now. And this is the massacre of Westworld that, of course, they had to have involved so people could feel and like they were in those events. Which, again, is something that feels relevant that would be going on in this world that someone would want to feel and go through. But the creepy part gets to when they get down to a little bit of the cellar and we bring back to the robots making this black goo and the way that it leads into the flies, which is something that we saw in episode 1, which was horrifying, and again, bringing that horror sci-fi tone to it all. And that's why I think Lisa Joy and Nolan's brother Jonathan do such a fantastic job in the way that they create this show and the way that they further out and make such things relevant to all the different lights that we're looking at this. And in this moment, when you see the flies going towards him, you know, you notice it's not robots that they're going after. They're going after something within the humans. And then they see those moments of all the people killing themselves, which then Caleb notices his daughter, who is created. And he runs to go find his daughter. Maeve's trying to help, and Maeve notices when he gets there that it's a trap. The William, the man in black, comes in all Terminator-like, and she kills that version, but we knew that was not going to actually stop him, because as she's running to get Caleb, another version of him comes, and it straight is Terminator vibes there. Knocks her out. All this things ensues, and we see that Caleb's daughter face opens up, sprays the flies, and that's where we end their story this week. And for me, it's like, well, why is he the key? What is going on here? Charlotte Hale has all of her hands and everything going on, and it is very, very scary for all of our main characters. So I overall really love this episode. I think this is one of the stronger Westworld episodes in quite a while. Easily the best episode of the season so far. Maybe you guys disagree with me, and that's completely fine if you do. Make sure to leave me your guys' thoughts down below. What theories do you have for next week's episode? What do you think is going to be going on with Caleb? Do you think we'll get any major character deaths anytime soon? Let me know down below, guys. Thank you so much again for watching this, and of course, until next time, stay classy.